Hello my friends, Hank here, and today we are going to pay a visit to our good friends and allies to the north, the heroes of Juno Beach, the Canadians. 135th scale World War II Canadian infantrymen coming right up. Let's get into it. Alright, so first things first here, we're going to be painting up this lovely little plastic figure from Tamiya for our example today. This is the squad leader from their British Infantry on Patrol pack. As you can see, I've added a quick little strap for the helmet using a slice of masking tape. We will begin here, as always, with a coat of black primer to give us a solid base to work up from. We'll start our paintwork on our body. Our figure is wearing what's called the 1937 pattern battle dress, or the P-37 battle dress. This was the standard Commonwealth combat uniform throughout the war, with variants worn by the British, the Canadians, the Australians, Indians, Kiwis, South Africans, everybody. A later P-40 version will be introduced with some slight tweaks, but the Canadians never adopted the 1940 version, so we are in good shape. This is essentially a two-piece wool uniform. The British versions of the battle dress were a lighter khaki color, while the domestic-produced Canadian offering was a slightly darker olivey tone. So for our purposes, let's spray this whole uniform with a coat of light olive drab. This captures the effect pretty well. If you were painting up a British figure though, you could do this step in khaki. Okay, with our base uniform color on there, let's start brushing in all of our field gear. Our fella is wearing a haversack, so let's hit that with some khaki. The vast majority of this Commonwealth style field gear will be in khaki, so we'll work around the body painting it all up. This here is our entrenching tool cover. And our suspenders, or L straps, will also be in khaki. This figure is wearing one additional 37 model ammo pouch. And as the squad leader, he also has a holster here for his Webley revolver. His canteen on his right hip can be painted up in some beige brown. And we'll detail in the straps of the canteen with some of our khaki from before. We've got some P-37 style gaiters down on our boots here. You guessed it, khaki. And the actual handle of our entrenching tool can be painted up in some German camo medium brown, or the wood tone of your choice. Our combat boots will be in black. And our iconic Sten gun, the Mark II here, will also be in black. Rather simple paint job, I know, but it's a fun one. While we have our black loaded up, let's go around and hit all the buckles and snaps on all of his gear to add a little bit of contrast and detail. And now we're going to switch over to our skin tones and our head. We're using my tried and true faces made easy technique here, nothing too complicated. We're going to start with a coat of flat flesh all over our head as our main base flesh tone. And we're going to repeat this same step on the skin of our hands. Back to our face, let's very carefully dot in two tiny little dots for our eyes, just to give our figure a little bit of life there. And now we're going to apply a thin layer of our light rust wash to add some warmth to our flesh and help accentuate the molding details in our face. We'll hit our hands with a rust wash as well for the same effect. Our fella has a little spot of hair popping out the back of his helmet here, so let's brush that in with the hair color of our choice. And now, with a final light application of our initial flat flesh tone, we'll pull out some of the highlights of his face, the flat areas of his cheeks, his brow, his nose, etc. And we're going to repeat that same highlighting technique for our hands as well to pull out the back of his hands and his fingers a bit. Using a bit of our same khaki from before, let's very carefully paint in the strap for his helmet. Alright, up to our helmet itself, we've got on the Mark II helmet here. Let's brush this in with a bit of olive drab. Be sure to cut into the inside of the brim of the helmet as well. Alright, with our skin and our helmet work complete, let's add a few final details before we wrap up. We're going to make this figure an NCO in the Queen's Own Rifles of Canada. The Queen's Own Rifles Regiment landed on Juno Beach on June 6, 1944 as part of the 3rd Canadian Infantry Division and suffered the highest casualties of any Canadian regiment involved in the D-Day operations. The QOR fought through the Battle of Caen, through France, Belgium, and the Netherlands before the war finally comes to an end in the spring of 1945. We're going to make this figure a corporal in charge of his rifle section. To start, let's draw an upside-down chevron here on both sleeves in some pure red. And at the top of the shoulder, we have the Queen's Own Rifles regimental patch. We'll block that out with some flat black in an upward curve. And once the red for the chevrons is dry, we can very carefully draw in 2 smaller upside-down chevrons inside our red blocking. Now, this is very, very small, mind you, so don't worry about being crazy precise. We just have to get the idea here. Super zoomed in 4K resolution doesn't leave a lot of room for error, but when you're looking at these figures in person, even held up very close, these details are tough to discern. So don't beat yourself up. Back to our QOR patch, let's dot in some little red lettering, so to speak, inside that. Just below the QOR patch, we have a khaki patch that says Canada on it. Fitting. And then in the middle there, we're going to make a light blue rectangle. The Canadians use these colored block flashes to designate divisions, red for the 1st, dark blue for the 2nd, light blue for the 3rd, etc. The QOR was with the 3rd Infantry Division, so light blue it is. Okay, with our organizational markings on there, we can now seal up our figure with a coat of gloss varnish and move on to weathering. Before we do weather, we can attach our head onto our body using a bit of super glue. And we're going to do a really basic pin wash here. We'll add a few little dots of enameled dark wash onto some of the detailed areas of the sculpt, and then we're going to help the wash flow into all the recesses of our sculpt using some enamel odorless thinner, removing any excess material we don't want along the way. Once our wash is dried completely, we can spray our whole figure with a coat of matte varnish to seal in all of our work. And with that, there you have it. A squad leader of the Queen's Own Rifles of Canada during the Normandy campaign. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know down in the comments below what projects you'd like to see me tackle next. And until next time, my friends, be well, happy building. Cheers.